Hello, Aries friends. Welcome to my January 2026 Happy New Year report. Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli. If you know me already, welcome back, old friends. If you're new to my work, I've been doing astrology for decades and teaching almost all that time, and my aim is to help you have the best month possible so that you can make the most of the starry weather and understand it and be prepared. You can also understand bigger themes that are going on in your life, and it can make sense of things that are happening to you. I'm going to give you a lot of dates and time frames so that you can be really prepared for this time. This is very exciting. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to know. I'm calling the theme of this month for Aries, the radical reveal, and we'll talk about how many things are going to come to light at this time for you. If you have a pen to write things down, you may want to do that. If you don't, jump into another window right now and go to anniehelpsyou.com and grab your free January 2026 star report that has my sweet and salty dates. So it will cover the dates that I talk about here, but it will also cover more that I don't have time to include. So you'll be super prepared for the best dates, the worst dates, and what you can do for them. Also, if you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and check out my astrology certification course. Okay, this is for you. If Aries is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Aries placement you're listening for, what I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. Very late degree Aries friends, so birthdays like April 15th through the rest of the sign, or 23 degree placements through the rest of the sign, I suggest you additionally listen to my Taurus report, as your very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. I have Aries rising. I also have a ton of Sag, so I am a fireball. That probably comes through in my enthusiasm. I am not on caffeine or anything else. I just wake up this way. And many Aries and other fire placements are like this. And I am a little bit excessive. So if you find that I'm talking too fast, I am not going to slow down. But you can click the tab in the top right corner of the YouTube screen at least and slow down the recording. But other than that, that's all. That's the only way you can slow me down because I'm very excited. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Okay, so the first most notable thing we're going to talk about is the massive showing of Capricorn energy this month. Mercury will get there early in the month, joining Juno, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Estrella, Vesta, and on January 18th, the new moon in Cap. So much Capricorn energy. And of course, as I've always been talking about, if you're new, now you'll come to understand, Aries has what's called a natural chart. So we have the planets moving through the signs as they do. They're moving through the houses that correspond with those signs. So the first house is Aries, the second is Taurus, the third Gemini, etc., and it goes in order. So whenever we have any placements in the sky in those signs, they also align with the houses. So that makes everything excessive and doubly true for Aries. So with all this Capricorn energy, not only does Aries have it, and everyone else in the zodiac is experiencing this, what Aries alone experiences is the additional Capricorn planets moving through the Capricorn house. So when I say this is a crazy showing at Cap, I cannot overstate that. So what does it mean? First of all, this is in a square for us. This is a birthing time, okay? You are going to be birthing some very important things this month. If you've ever birthed anything, you will know that that is not always a super fun process, but the prize is worth it, right? And that is what the energy of a square is. So you're bringing something out. It could be one of the most important lifetime projects. It could be a major change in your career. All of Capricorn energy relates very strongly to career, work, employment. I know some of you are not employed or don't care to be. You're retired or otherwise individually wealthy and don't have to work. But for you, it could be things having to do with stepping into a role of authority or a passion project, something that doesn't need to make money, but that it's your place out in the world. So for all Aries, however it's appropriate for your situation, your place out in the world is front and center. If you have a big promo, a big launch, a job direction, a business launch, taking anything out into the world that you want to be around for a long time, a serious culmination of things that you've been working on for a long time, or a new direction in those arenas, this is your month. At the same time as all of this Cap energy, creating this pressure cooker, the pressure it takes to make a diamond, to birth something, we also are in open stars, free from personal planet retrogrades. So December 17th through February 12th, including all of this month, We do not have any Mercury, Venus, or Mars retrogrades, nor their shadow periods, which means if you follow my tidal analogy, or if you're new to it, I will explain, the astrological tides go out in the times we don't have these personal planets retrograde. And it means that you here on the shore sending things out into the world have the tides on your side. Whereas when we're in the retrogrades, the tides are coming in and anything you try to put out comes back to you very quickly. There are a lot of good things to do during that time, but trying to get something out far and wide for a long term is not always very easy, and it tends to come back or be ended sooner than you think it will, or change quicker than you think it will. But we're not in that time now. We're in the time of go, 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 do, do, do. And this is a language that Capricorn does understand. Something else to know about or Aries understands, and what Capricorn also understands, because they're both cardinal signs. And this is the other point I want to come to. Even though this is a square, meaning a point of pressure that you have to work through, a building, something, a transition or some kind, the stars are speaking your language in the way that they are cardinal. Cardinal moves in a finite direction. It is going places. It is doing things. And Aries speaks that language. So does Capricorn. So this is like the ultimate in productivity and action and activity. Aries can sometimes have a hard time unless you're chill and have other things in your chart and you're more of a chill Aries, or unless you've learned over time to align with the natural rhythms of the universe from the kinds of things we talk about in my reports and, in offerings like this. Then maybe you've learned to kind of dial it back when it's not time to roar. But it's not easy by nature for Aries to dial it back. So you are just like free and unfettered now and unleashed upon the world with what you're trying to do. Some things to expect and some best usage of all of this massive Capricorn energy. And then I'm going to start adding layers to this big story. Strategic career communication, putting your notice in, asking for a raise, trying out to get a lateral movement, putting in job applications, launching your passion project that may or may not be financially based or in that kind of interest. Things having to do with parents. You as a parent or an authority figure or someone that is that to you, those kind of relationships can heal, progress, have things go on and then move through. Any kind of important conversations with authority figures or with you as an authority figure. This may increase your visibility massively because Capricorn energy is very much about, it's at the top of the chart, which is the midheaven, which is when the sun is at its zenith, when it's the brightest in the sky. And this, relates to your visibility as well. You may be getting clarity about a direction or your reputation or what you're trying to do or be known as. You may refine your public message. The energy is really good for that. You may update your professional branding. If you've needed to either get online, get into social media, get into whatever is next here with our futuristic, things that are going on, this may be a time to start to dabble or to update. And if you need a whole new branding overhaul, this could also be an amazing month for that. And again, the birthing process. Something else that's really important to remember is that Aries is usually pretty ready for the challenge and tends to plow through things, but we can get tired and daunted too, right? So it can happen that we can just be like, enough is enough already, and be like, no, we can't take any more. I want to share a story. I was having a conversation with my husband the other day, and he reminded me of something that I said during childbirth, when I said, just very matter-of-factly, this isn't going to happen, right? Meaning like the birth, that the kinds of things that women say when they're in what's called transition, when the cervix is dilated to the point that the baby's about to come out, the way that the caretakers know that that point is coming is they start saying crazy things. Something else that I said during this time was, people don't do this. Humanity is a lie. Because that's how it feels. It feels like there is no way that whatever is going to go on can go on. And you may have those feelings this month. So I wanted to share that with you so you can kind of hold it in your heart, not just now, but at other times when something like this comes up. If you are feeling that way, it often means you're almost there. Okay? So if you're weary, if you've been working hard, if you're ready to be done with it all, you may be almost there. Okay? And if you hear that in your voice, in your language, that may be the transition voice. And this is the type of chart, the type of month that is a transition month, that is a transition time. Okay. So this is a great month to make structured plans for your long-term goals. to make a commitment to a career path or to make a commitment to a new side career path if you're trying to build something new in the backdrop. You may reach the pinnacle. Maybe you retire. Venus is here. You may have increased magnetism at work. Those of you who are looking for love, you may have love at work as well. And this can be more money. Venus is there. The questions are there about your money. You may be polishing your public image. You may be taking pictures for your branding or getting a new look. You may be building these beneficial collaborations. And as the month goes on and these planets move into Aquarius, the networking scene is going to progress. So be looking out for networking opportunities as the month progresses. There's going to be a huge spotlight and a huge peak visibility moment at this time. You may have intense ambition. Thank you, Mars, your ruling planet in this cardinal sign of Capricorn. You may launch these big initiatives. You may channel your ambition into long-lasting plans. There's something very much about discipline, taskmaster, strategy that Capricorn is telling us at this time. You also may complete some old projects as you are getting ready for new energy, or something may really come to a culmination. You may be more inclined to follow your calling or to make some serious action on your dream. If you've had a dream, you may put your money where your mouth is at this time, or put your energy where your heart has been. You also may get super discerning with everything in your life because the Capricorn energy can do that. It's also a time where you may have to pay the piper for past messes, or if you got a little crazy over the Sagittarius season, because that was a fire frenzy for Aries, then you may be mopping that mess up now with these serious Capricorn energies, kind of pulling everything back into balance, paying off extra spending, healing your body if you ate or drank too much or whatever happened. Okay, now at the same time, let's start adding some layers to this. As these planets move through Capricorn, and the ones that are, most of them are going to get to 21-ish degrees where Jupiter is hanging out, they're going to make oppositions to Jupiter. Jupiter oppositions make you very vulnerable to overdo, overcommit, overthink, and overestimate. So you may be feeling so strong and disciplined that you take on too much. You may agree to too much. This is a fantastic time in general for legal agreements. One of the best that we have in the year because it's most free from these contractual issues, especially as the month progresses. The dates around 17th through the 23rd of January, we'll give a few days before, like the 14th through the 26th or so, because we feel the aspects before and after they happen. We've got a massive flow of sweet aspects that come from these Capricorn planets making nice angles with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. So you may be having these important behind the scenes discussions. You may be using your intuition to fine tune your direction, but you just want to make sure with these Jupiter oppositions that you don't overcommit, overdo, overestimate, or overstate something. The first half of the month has most of the salty aspects. Salty ones are where the planets aren't getting, or the aspects aren't getting along. Basically, the planets aren't in a harmonious flow. The second half of the month, they are, and it starts at the 14th with this major flow that lasts the whole, pretty much the whole rest of the month. But the ones that are in the beginning, these salty ones that are a little bit, you got to watch out for, a lot of those are these Jupiter oppositions. So it's not so bad as long as you are careful that you don't overdo. You'll feel this tension between home and career with these oppositions. You will feel emotional needs competing with public responsibilities, or family or your inner world needs competing with your place out in the world. Family matters may be affecting your focus, or vice versa. You may have dramatic insights, so in the topic of the radical reveal this month, I think you can kind of see there may be some very big news that comes in this sector of work, career, and your place out in the world if you don't have to earn money. And it could have something to do with a father or a parent. Some of you may find your father of origin if you're looking for that. There's like radical reveal energy around home and family massively. You may find something out about your past, and it may be very, very, very radical. It may be a very radical reveal. And this is kind of getting pushed out, and this opposition can be part of this. So the goal is to try to find balance and stability. The goal is to get as much done as possible and be productive and use this energy without overworking. The goal is also to balance the logic and the linear with the intuitive and the nonlinear, and to reconfigure your schedule to make sure that you can account for the needs that people have in your life, because most work things tend to be resolved and time passes and you can't always even remember what the heck you were working on. But when it comes to family stuff, sometimes those things are not as easy to get through if you can't show up at the right time. So this is, just a little alert to Aries to really be listening out with the family, and it may be time to just find a little bit of balance there. Okay, now on the topic of the fourth house, and homes and housing and real estate and your inner world and working from home and all of the stuff that Cancer rules, from June 2025 through almost July 2026, we've got Jupiter expanding that space for us. New entrances to your family through the significant others of your kids, through, your own significant other, through births, swapping around of things. You may add to your family count. You may add to the people who live in your house. It's dialed back a little bit at this moment because Jupiter's in retrograde, but it's going to be getting ready to go direct here pretty soon. And that pace of expansion that you saw earlier, for most of 2025, that may start to pick up again. And in the days right in the beginning of the month, January 3rd, which we'll say really from the last days of December through like January 5th or 6th, you'll be feeling this full supermoon in Cancer and a big radical reveal time. Okay, so throughout the month, you can have these radical reveals just pop out. This 12th house where these angles are happening with all these Capricorn placements connecting in with these Pisces placements, that's your subconscious mind. Radical reveals within your subconscious mind, radical reveals within your home and family. Supermoons are more gravitationally powerful. You may notice that emotionally. You may be more of an insomniac. You may have more of a realization. The thing that gets elucidated in your home or family or inner world may be super huge, and the supermoon may match this energy. The moon rules Cancer, and the moon is in Cancer. It's a water sign and it's a full moon. So there are all, and a supermoon. So there are all of these different factors saying this is probably going to have a big reveal here. And since for Aries, this is also in that house, that's even extra. So yeah, so really look out for that. You may have a big emotional release. You may have a home and family or housing culmination. You may have a breakthrough around safety, belonging, your childhood. A past pattern may resurface for healing. Some of the things that you can do to support, and this also supports with the oppositions that we spoke about, you can tend to your emotional needs and those around you. You can make home changes. And by the way, if you're trying to make a big change within the home you have or change the home, like move, this is one of the best months of the whole year for that. Buying, selling, moving, updating, repairing, all of those things. Wonderful this month. You may have an easier time if you've been having trouble getting people to actually show up. Seems like humanity is moving along the lines of less accountability. And I think overall, many people are having a lot of trouble with getting people to actually show up and do work. This month, you may actually have an easier time than you have been because the Capricorn energy can coax more responsibility and accountability, or the need for that type of thing, out of the people who may be doing the work. So it's an excellent time to get help from other people to get things done. And in whatever ways you have to do to strengthen your inner foundation. Okay, I want to talk about some of this Pisces energy. So Pisces is your inner world, your inner psychology, your spiritual space, the ethereal space where everything is connected. And the blending of Pisces intuition with Capricorn logic is going to be a very big theme that comes up at this time. Okay, now another layer we have to add to this whole crazy scene is that we are back in eclipse season. February 17th, we have a solar eclipse at 28 degrees of Aquarius. March 3rd, we have a lunar eclipse at 12 degrees of Virgo. If you're into the eclipses and want to know more, that same place I sent you before, AnnieHelpsYou.com, when you grab your free star report in that email, you'll also get access to my VIP eclipse page, which will help you to better understand the eclipse cycles for yourself and the dates and all of that. But we'll be talking about this more. January, we'll talk about it more. February, we'll talk about March. But I'm talking about this in January because the eclipse season starts 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes more, before the actual eclipses. So that means news, trajectory shifts, information, the timeline bending that goes on with the gravitational fields aligning that we see with karma clearing and all of this stuff that I'm always talking about. You are going to start to feel that in January. So time may get weird. You may feel these time warps, big news coming or something that you see is brewing, but hasn't happened yet, but you can kind of see the direction it's going. All of that stuff is going to be brewing. And so we've got a continuation of the Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle, which has some similar lines of energy to the Pisces Capricorn things I was telling you about with the logic and the linear versus the ethereal and the non-linear. You're working out since the end of 2024 into 2027. There are storylines that get stronger up into the conscious experience about your work, about your job, about your mental wellness, about your physical wellness, about things with animals, your daily routine, because the sixth house rules animals as well. So you're kind of shuffling around your inner world and your outer world and trying to get more balance. But now we are going to have a new cycle that's added to this, which is the Aquarius Leo eclipse cycle. And that's starting now, and it's going to be in play until early 2028. So very, very long. This is also going to be in the houses of Leo and Aquarius for Aries, as I've been explaining. Now you can think back. Actually, let me just tell you what the themes are here. So the 5th house and the 11th house and the eclipses in these places can have to do with a creative rebirth. It can have to do with romantic shifts, romantic relationships, passion projects beginning, ending, or shifting. It's a time to say yes to creativity. It's a time to let joy lead your next step and be that sunflower that, when you see sunflowers reach up to the sun, how it looks like they must feel, just happy and strong, enjoying the sun. Whatever makes you feel like all of your cells are reaching up towards the sky with joy, those are the kind of things that are represented by this 5th house. So you'll be exploring this topic of what makes you feel that way and how to have more of that experience versus the 11th house, community obligations or the bigger purpose and the greater good. So your creativity versus the group, your individual unique expression versus connecting with other people. You may be noticing new alliances or communities or a development of the alliances and communities that you already have. You may see an evolution of these long-term kind of community-minded goals. You may see sudden shifts in your social circles. You may join groups that have to do with future-orientedness or things having to do with social media or the internet. And you'll notice that outdated friendships may be falling away. You may dust off some old relationships and make them like new. You may be building these vision-aligned networks. And that is going to be this theme for years. And I always think of the eclipses as like a pot that always has a little bit of a simmer going on once the eclipse, cycle starts. And then every 6 months when the eclipses happen, it's like the fire goes under it and then the bubbles get really big and start getting nuts and things get crazy. And then they kind of simmer down again in between the eclipses. Then they build up again. So every 6 months now, until the 2028, you'll be seeing this happen. Okay, so this is going to be these themes that come up. So you can think back to early 2017 through early 2019 when this happened last. What kind of alliances and friendship groups and communities, became stronger in that time? Your creative expression. Also, by the way, your children. Okay, so things having to do with kids, your own or working with other children. Okay, then think back to early 2008 to the end of 2009. This eclipse cycle happened then. Many of you who had kids in the early 2008 to 2009, you're going to be having those kids graduate. And that's going to be a cycle that's coming around for their next thing that they're doing. So you can kind of see how things like that, maybe you got married or met your love then. Maybe there were, the things having to do with romance and the creative spark that happens before children and, all of that. So if you're trying to have a baby, this is a fertility trigger. If you're not trying to have a baby, this is still the fertility trigger. So just a little word to the wise there. All right. Well, I could go on, but If you like my work, go to anniehelpsyou.com, see the other things I have. Go to beastropro.com. If you want to learn with me, I can teach you how to do astrology in a way that helps you and other people. If you want to earn money as an astrologer, I'm especially good at that, being an entrepreneur myself for so long. So beastropro.com, beastropro.com. Grab your free star report and all of my other freebies, my resource guides for eclipses and such at anniehelpsyou.com. And if you want to get my take on your 2026 and beyond outer planet transits, these are the ones that are anywhere from a year to 20 years with the dates and the big stories, go to Annie B. Clarity, Annie, the letter B, clarity.com, and see my outer planet transit report 2026 and beyond. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month, and Happy New Year. Bye for now.